Okay. Hello, beautiful people. So, so tonight, we're going to have some fun. And by the end of this, you will all have a really practical takeaway of how you can start overcoming some type of challenge, whatever challenge you're bumping up against in your life, how you can begin to truly overcome that challenge starting tonight. So I'm excited to share it with you.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to jam on the missing link of why positive thinking and visualizing can often not work. And many people, when they're going on this journey of visualizing and positive thinking, they start creating some beautiful things in their lives. You know, like we've all done it before. We start lifting our vibration and things start happening. And we're like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is pretty amazing. But then there comes a time where in our lives, we're craving something, we're desiring something, yet we keep bumping up against these roadblocks along the way. And it kind of feels like how Matt shared with me today, how you're banging your head against a brick wall, constantly trying to make something occur, trying to make something happen. And when this happens, people often, many times, wind up giving up, wind up feeling like, this just isn't how the world works. It's not meant for me. And that's exactly why I'm talking about what we're talking about today, because it is possible to shift on the fundamental level. The thing that you're bumping up against the most, the challenge that you're bumping up against the most, it is possible to shift it, to alleviate yourself from it, and to live a life of more elf, right? What we were talking about the other day. Live a life of more ease. Live a life of more fun, flow. So often when we close our eyes and we're visualizing something, and either visualizing something or we're trying to create something that we want in our lives, and the visualization is happening. What trips people up is that there are two parts of the mind that many people kind of think is one mind. They think that when they go within, they're using their mind to create what they want, but there are two aspects of the mind that it's so important to understand the fundamentals of, so we can understand how to work within our psyche. So we can understand how to become aware of what it is that we're bumping up against and what the cause of it is. And the two aspects of our mind for this context today are our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And the wild thing about things is that the conscious mind is only kicking into gear for about 5% of our day every day. And this conscious mind is what's associated with our creative mind. We have so many artists in here. The conscious mind is associated with our creative mind and our wishes and desires. So the subconscious mind is what's controlling over 95% of the day. And our subconscious mind is said simply, is a set of recorded programmed behaviors, beliefs, and habits that are sitting outside of our conscious awareness. They're not something that we're necessarily conscious of existing. Now, the significance of this and why this is the missing link to what's getting in the way of positive thinking, actually shifting our internal world and external world, and what's getting in the way of visualizing things into form, is that the creative mind, our wishes and desires, are only taking up about 5%. But this set of beliefs, habits, behaviors that we picked up in our formative years are what's actually controlling 95% of the day, kind of like an automatic program. It's not something we're necessarily conscious of, why these things are getting in the way and causing challenges in our reality. Now, a common example of this is when you're trying to create something like more wealth in your life. And your conscious mind knows, it understands you're worthy of abundance. It understands it's possible. I have all these paths on my business. I understand this works. I have the formula. I have the foundation. but for some reason I keep hitting this limit, this ceiling in my business, and I don't understand why. And it starts to become a challenge. It starts to become something that we're bumping up against regularly. We're bumping up against that ceiling in our business, and we don't understand why. And it's often because the 5% of the mind has gathered the intelligence. It has the steps. It has the information. But the reason there's a challenge is because we've picked up some set of belief in our formative years that is running the other 95% of our day, which means for all of us that the 95% of our day where we're making decisions, we're observing our reality and creating meanings out of it, where we're choosing where to go, what to do, where we're choosing what job to choose, what relationship to choose. All of these things are controlled by what is like an automatic program of our subconscious. Now, we're going to come to a solution of what we can do and how we can shift this, but I want to share a little bit more first about the foundations of the subconscious so we can understand the what and the how, so that the doing, the actual shifting, the actual overcoming challenges becomes much, much easier. So Dr. Bruce Lipton, incredible. I want to talk about this quote for a second, which is, as an information processor, the subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than the subconscious mind. 1 million times more powerful. Now, the significance of this is that we are essentially, as human beings, like information gathering machines. Our senses, meaning what we see, hear, taste, and smell, is observing our reality, and we're gathering information from it. We're creating a meaning out of what we've observed, and we gather information to make sense of that thing that we're looking at. So as I observe this lantern, I know it's a lantern. I don't have to think about it. Subconsciously, I learned what that was. Now, this is exactly why when we use the 5%, the tiny part of the brain, to think a positive thought, when we use the 5% to close our eyes and visualize in meditation, if that 5%, that wish or desire, is contradicting a limiting belief that we picked up in our most formative years, that is the exact reason why we keep bumping up against those challenges in our lives. That is the exact reason why we keep hitting the ceiling in our business, why we keep running into the same pitfalls in relationships. We break up a relationship, we shift, and then we come into the same roadblock, feeling the same way of unworthiness, not being seen. It's because of that subconscious limiting belief that we picked up. So in our formative years, I'm going to share a little bit more about how it works, how we get this programming, then I'm going to leave you all with how you can make a shift tonight, literally walking away with this, shifting something. So we install our baseline programming, and the reason that the word programming is used so much in the subconscious is because we tend to work a little bit like a computer. The subconscious is working like an automatic computer system. This is exactly why when you're driving a car and having a conversation with someone, you can get home and forget the whole ride. How many people have felt that before? Right? It's like, wait a minute, what just happened? What street did I turn down? It's because the automatic program of the subconscious, which is your beliefs, behaviors, habits, that's running the show. Your conscious mind can have a conversation and your subconscious is running the show. And in our most formative years, the reason why we pick up our baseline programming from when we're in the womb to age 7 is because our conscious mind isn't formed yet. We're living in essentially what is called the theta alpha state regularly. And this is a key that you can take with you from now on to get the foundations of the subconscious. The subconscious equals theta state. If you want to reprogram the subconscious, going into the theta state is the most potent way. Children are essentially living in the theta state all the time. Their brain hasn't developed to the point yet where they have their conscious mind as kind of like that analytical barrier between information. So children are essentially like a sponge, gathering information, all the information about what it means to be human. Children are gathering from when they're in the third trimester of the womb to about age 7. What this means is that in this formative years, you're learning emotional patterns and nervous system responses from your mother when you're in the womb. When you come out of the womb, you begin to gather information like a sponge, and you begin to gather the information of how to relate within a family system, how to walk, how to play, right? You begin to take all of that information in about how money works, how love works. And by the time you're 7, you have your set of programs that you then carry out for your adult lives. And these programs are outside of our awareness, right? So one more section before we get to the end, which is what then influences our lives as an adult. So once we get to the point where we're past 7, our conscious mind forms, and we begin to play out those set of programs. We begin to play them out in different situations in life, and then it gets a little more difficult to understand or to reprogram the subconscious as an adult because we have the barrier of our conscious mind, which blocks information coming in, which is a good thing. It's discernment, but at the same time, we wind up running out the same set of programs until we get into the subconscious to shift it. So in our adult lives, there are a few things that are constantly programming our subconscious that I want to make sure that you guys go home with so we can be aware of them. The things we watch on TV, the shows we watch on Netflix, when we're doing this, our brain waves are slowing down. We get into that sleepy theta state, which is when your body is kind of asleep, but your mind is awake, you're calmed down, you're not thinking of anything, you're dozed off. So the things you're watching are programming you on a regular basis. Beautiful thing to be aware of. When we scroll on social media, it's programming us on a regular basis. We're paying attention to all of it, getting the information, and it's programming us. The music we listen to, programming us on a regular basis, especially. This is why Dune Man's songs are so incredible, because he's putting so much effort into the frequency, into the lyrics, so that we're programming ourselves in a really positive way. So the places we consume our information, TV, television, songs, media, all of these things are programming the subconscious mind on a regular basis as adults. Now, the beautiful thing about life is that it makes it really obvious what limiting beliefs are popping up in our reality. And the way that it makes it so obvious is because every single day, you can find your limiting beliefs in your everyday life if you're paying attention. And this is because life loves us so much unconditionally that it is constantly shining a flashlight on any area inside of us where we're not free. Life will constantly show us people, places, circumstances that will shine a light back to us, that will reflect a mirror to us of where we're holding some kind of limiting belief that isn't in alignment with our true potential. Life is on our side. These challenges that we're coming up against, they're not here to beat us up. They're here to show us where we're not free, where our true potential really is. So what I want to leave you all with this evening is that one way, really simple way, that we can be radically aware of where our limiting beliefs are and how we can start shifting them tonight. So anytime that we are bumping up against a challenge in life that feels like a significant challenge, right? It feels like that thing I was talking about before, like you keep hitting the ceiling in your business, or you keep running into the same situation in a relationship. Whenever you're bumping up against a significant challenge in your life, you can look to that challenge and ask yourself, what are the reasons why this challenge exists? What is the story I'm playing out in my head of why this challenge exists in my life? So for finances, you could be bumping up against the ceiling because you have a story that you picked up when you were younger that people with wealth are bad. Or, this is something I hear all the time, which is so wild, but you could be bumping up against the ceiling in your business or in finances because you feel like if you made more money, you wouldn't have any friends that trust you, right? Or that you could trust. So there's many different reasons why we might have that challenge in our lives, but if we ask ourselves the question, what are the reasons why the challenge exists? And we begin to shine awareness on them, you can uncover any limiting belief and begin to get what's underneath the root of why you keep bumping up against the challenge. So this is essentially the essence of this talk tonight, because before upgrading subconscious blocks, it looks a little like this. We feel like life is beating us up. We feel like we can't get past the challenge. We feel like we keep bumping up against the things. But after we become aware of those subconscious blocks, we realize we've been in the way. We've been getting in our own way the whole time. So what I'd like to leave you all with is that if you sink into your heart for one moment, and you consider, if you close your eyes and you consider, okay, what is one challenge in my life? You breathe into your heart, what is one challenge in my life that I seem to keep bumping up against? And then you consider, what is the story I'm telling myself? What are the reasons why this challenge exists? When you start to uncover that story in between, the reason why, you can go ahead and open your eyes. You can use this right here to start shifting it tonight. These are some common ways you can start reprogramming the subconscious mind, getting to the root essentially, shifting it from the root. And what you can do tonight is, again, theta is access to the subconscious. When you are falling asleep at night or as you wake up in the morning, you're naturally in that theta state. So what you can do is you can either affirm to yourself the new thing. So if you are affirming self-love, you can fall asleep at night going there, feeling that, anchoring that into your subconscious. As you wake up in the morning, again, that's the first thing you think of. This is how you shift the subconscious quickly rather than a long period of time. Without this, people have to use their willpower and fight to make a difference. They have to do things over and over and fight their very internal world, their very existence, to make a change. Or you can go ahead and use the potency of your subconscious mind in this simple way of, as you wake up in the morning and before you go to sleep at night, to reaffirm their thing that you're shifting your programming in. So I wanted to share that with you all so you can walk away with something, so that you can start creating from your conscious mind, so you can start freeing your very mind. So you can free your mind from the programs that were never yours to begin with, that maybe society put on you, maybe a family put on you that it wasn't yours, it never was, and you know you are someone different. And this is exactly how we can begin doing it. So the other two things are heart-brain coherence guided exercises. I can chat with you guys after this. Super simple. You can find it on YouTube. And the other thing is hypnotherapy. You can get a hypnotherapist. You can come to Heartled Leaders, learn more about it, any of the things. But these are all free things you can get started with right now. And I invite you all to really take this on tonight. You know, if you have a challenge, fall asleep tonight thinking of the thing that you're reaffirming. And do so in the morning too, and free yourself. Free yourself from that challenge. Thank you.